We're seeing that America's fourth turning crisis, which started off with the global financial crisis that escalated into the global pandemic and global crisis that follows, all is connected with what we're seeing here with the US black box, with the third Uranus return that will occur in 2027. I'm saying, is this World War III, depression followed by revolution, global financial reset? These are all the questions that we have to ask, right? So according to Strauss and Howe, quote, Americans today fear that linearism, alias to the American dream, has run its course. Many would welcome some enlightenment about history's patterns and rhythms, but today's intellectual elites offer little that's useful. I would even say that applies to astrologers. Caught between the entropy of the chaostists and hubris of linearists, the American people have lost their moorings. They lost their ways. Strauss and Howe, the fourth turning. So this is what we're seeing today. This is what we're seeing today. And we're seeing the correlation of the fourth turning crisis, right? During the fourth turning crisis, 1773, 1794, age of revolution, American colonies become a nation. Then we see it followed by the Uranus return with the American Civil War. US becomes an industrial world power during that period. Then we see the Neptune return that correlated with the next fourth turning crisis between 29 and 45, the Great Depression. US becomes an economic and military superpower. Then we see the following, the Pluto return, 2022, right? COVID pandemic, second Great Depression. These are question marks. We're going to cover that. And then the third Uranus return, 2027. So we are in it, folks. This is not going away, right? This is not going away. You need to get out of denial, all right? The Gavin Newsom worldview, right? That is like, you know, becoming the model for the rest of America is in collapse mode right now, but nobody sees it coming until after the fact, right? America's fourth turning during the third Uranus return, if we use a 15-degree orb, we're using a wide degree orb, then we're going to see this Uranus return effect begin in 2024. It's going to be very telling about the US 2024 election, right? We're going to see the reemergence of somebody we thought was sent away, right? Somebody who went out to the pasture, never to return again, right? So watch what happens in 2024. Civil disobedience, civil resistance, demonstrations, defection, insurgency, defection from one party to another party, defection from one country to another country, insurgency, internet activism, mutiny, protests, boycotts, uprising, urban warfare, strike actions, media activism, sit-ins, silent protests, riots, revolution, protest camp. These are all things that fall under that. And the reason why, right? The reason why we need to keep in mind is, although history does not repeat, it certainly rhymes. Fourth turnings always sweep away the existing social order and power establishment. So the power establishment that's been in power certainly since the last fourth turning at the end of World War II during the Bretton Woods Agreement, right? Republican, Democrats, right? That whole world we grew up in with television, right? You know, ABC, CBS, NBC, right? CNN, Fox News, that whole world is getting blown up, right? We're going to see this collective. The collective is going to find itself in the midst of a whirlwind of transformation with an uncertain outcome that revives the founders' ideas of the Republic. So there's going to be a revisionism of the Republic. And this could mark the end of the experiment, right? This sort of experiment that was born by the Revolution in Blood in 1776. So we're going to see things really come to a head. And the reason we could say this with such great certainty, besides all the other things I presented here, is because the American Pluto return is about to commence on February 20th, 2022. And this has to do with what? It has to do with empire, right? Because America says it's a republic, but it operates as an empire. And for those of you who say, no way, I would have learned that in my 8th grade civics class, well, I can prove it out really right here. So since 1945, America has implemented policies aimed at extending the political, economic, and cultural control of the United States government over areas way beyond its boundaries throughout the planet. They've accomplished this by military conquests, treaty, subsidization of other countries. The United States gives more money. Imagine if the United States started cutting off money to other countries, they would begin to collapse overnight. We still give a lot of money, all right? Subsidization, economic penetration through private companies, followed by intervention when those interests are threatened, or by forced regime change by the CIA. These are all the things that have been happening since 1945. The United States is operating as an empire. It gives off the impression we're a good guy, we want to help you out, we're friends, let's trade, there's a lot of upside to this, and that's all true, but they still operate. So they have a velvet, they're a velvet glove over an iron fist, right? And this is what is happening here. Now, the Pluto return is going to bring this all out in the open, right? And for those who a little bit in denial, those astrologists saying that can't be true, just look at this. Every time Pluto changes signs, the United States grows. The United States continues to expand, right? So Pluto in Aquarius, there's the 13 colonies. Then when it went into Pisces, Louisiana purchased. Then went into Aries. We acquired Texas, New Mexico, Arizona. Then it went into Taurus, Western continental expansion. Went into Gemini, Puerto Rico, Guam, America, Samoa. Pluto into Cancer, Virgin Islands, right? U.S. military occupation of Germany, still occupying. Italy, still occupying. Japan, still occupying. Pluto in Leo, Hawaii, right? The Nampo Islands, Marcus Island, Free Territory of Trustees, 880 military bases worldwide. Pluto in Virgo, Alaska, conquest of space and manned moon landing. Pluto in Libra, 1 million U.S. soldiers in 30 countries. Pluto in Scorpio, Northern Mariana Islands, Grenada. Pluto in Sagittarius, U.S. military bases in Iraq and Afghanistan. Pluto in Capricorn, 800 military bases located outside the United States. And Pluto in Aquarius, U.S. military bases in space or the moon. That's coming next. No doubt about it. We are operating as an empire. U.S. military bases, interventions throughout the world, right? So these are all the different interventions. So Pluto rules empires. So, for example, the Plutonian influence dominated the chart of the Roman Empire, the Imperium, which began with the reign of Emperor Augustus in 27 BC, which we're going to review here, right? So Pluto rules those who exert tremendous power in history in those nations, particularly those empires. So America is an empire that is in denial or denies. Let's say it's an empire that denies its own existence. That's so Plutonian. Think about that. It's an empire that denies its own existence. So U.S. military presence around the world, it's got more than 750 bases. Those are the known bases. It has classified bases in at least 80 countries, right? So 750 known bases, probably a couple hundred classified bases in 80 countries, in the ocean, in space, possibly on the moon. We don't know. 173,000 troops deployed in 159 countries. So you can see here, there's no doubt.
Register for the upcoming Global Outlook 2023 webinar on January 22, 2023. Get the geopolitical and macroeconomic forecasts and increased clarity of the transformational crisis and paradigm shift now underway, so you can take massive action to not only survive, but thrive in the year ahead. Register for the Global Outlook 2023 webinar at williamstickevers.com or click the link in the description.